up in our third take, we look at Alphabet's marketing strategy. Our guest is Alex Merutka, founder and CEO of CRAFTSMAN Plus. This is Bloomberg.
This is Triple Take on Bloomberg today. Well, we're focused on all things Alphabet. So far, we've had the view from the company's own CFO, Ruth Porat. We've taken a closer look at today's numbers, of course, digging into what about the other bets. Now, our third take, impact of advertising. And Katie, this is one that you've been looking at.
Absolutely. So if we set the scene with what the ownership of this $400 billion global digital ad market looks like, far and away, it's Alphabet that controls that stage with 44%. Of course, these numbers are excluding China. So Alphabet is the big dog here. But if we look at who's next, it's Meta. We hear from them tomorrow. Those two by far control the lion's share here. But of course, it is Alphabet that really is key here. And if we look at the numbers that we just got, those ad sales continue to be a bright spot.
They do. And let's talk about ad sales being a bright spot. Are more people going to Alphabet's YouTube and the like? Are they coming away from it? What about the competition? Alex Merutka is with us. I'm pleased to say founder and CEO of CRAFTSMAN Plus, a digital ad creation platform that has partnered with companies such as Google, but also with Meta and with TikTok. And Alex, therefore, you have the perfect bird's eye perspective of what people are currently using YouTube, Alphabet's many a company and brand for at the moment, because with the changes from Apple, it felt like many got confused about, well, the efficiency of, say, a Meta platform's algorithm when it came to Instagram and Facebook.
Yeah, thanks for having me. And you're absolutely right. So people pulled spend back on Facebook. Apple's ATT tracking changes really deprecated third-party data, which was what Meta was built on. Google's in a different position. So Google has a lot of first-party data. You think of Gmail, YouTube, and the Google Play Store. So a lot of advertisers are actually shifting budgets from a Meta over to Google, and they're seeing good results. The macroeconomic environment right now, ad spend in general is being cut, but most of that's being paused is more brand spend. People are looking more towards performance. And a lot of performance actually comes from search. There's a lot of intent there. So people are still searching and buying things on Google.
Talk to us a little bit, if you'd mind, Alex, on sort of the broader pool and who the other competitors are. You know, obviously Google or Alphabet and Meta are the biggest players, but those smaller categories maybe have more opportunity to take market share from those big players. You know, we talked to Netflix, for instance, last week, talking about how they're going to start potentially charging and running ads. As the pool shrinks, where do you see market share potential gains outside of these big players?
I'm not too worried about Netflix disrupting Google's business. I think it's more interesting the topic of TikTok and YouTube Shorts, which is Google's competitor. So you're seeing like massive adoption in India for YouTube Shorts, where TikTok's being banned. So I think like with regulations coming in, and in China, Google and other large tech companies are really restricted. The US is talking about doing the same thing back to TikTok right now. There's a lot of conversations around that. So I think one competitor is, you can kind of see TikTok, but on the other side of the coin, TikTok is a content creator platform. So it's creating all these, video creators. That content ends up on Google at some point. And so one could actually argue that TikTok's actually helping drive more content that lives on top of Google's sites. So I think Google's in a good position. The one headwind that I see in their ad business is actually Apple. So, the Apple's search ads, their business has gone up 300% in the last year. They're getting into search, and I wouldn't be surprised if Apple launches its own search engine similar to Google Chrome and tries to compete in that space. And that's where I think Google's going to face the most competition.
Alex, I want to talk a little bit more about TikTok because I love TikTok, but TikTok, it feels like didn't come onto the scene until, I don't know, really the pandemic is when it felt like it took off in the mainstream. And I'm curious, from the perspective of an advertiser, how do you make the decision that, a platform like TikTok, this is somewhere to stay, this is where I'm going to put my advertising dollars versus, something tried and true such as Alphabet? Yeah,
great question. So in terms of like an economic downturn and where you're cutting spend, because that's what advertisers are thinking of right now, like what channels do I cut? Typically you stay on ones that are tried and true, like a Google and a Meta, although Meta's hasn't performed as well as it used to. So you are seeing spend shift to Google, but you're also seeing with TikTok's ability to create these massive winners. So it's kind of volatile right now, but you hear these success stories of advertisers that run on Snapchat, run on Google, run on Meta, and then they do a TikTok campaign and it goes viral. You see massive companies having success there, like a Duolingo has a great content strategy on TikTok. So the virality of the platform is kind of like a Hail Mary for some advertisers, and they're still figuring it out. You know, there's some campaigns that perform really well and others that don't, but you know that there is success there. There are these wins, and so people are constantly looking for them.
Alex, to that point, you know, and that's often the frustration with content creators and marketers on TikTok is you just, you know, can spend hours preparing something and it never goes anywhere, and then you do one small, quick video and it goes completely viral, and so the risk reward doesn't seem to be sustainable. But I'm interested, are brands at this moment willing, as always, to innovate, to challenge themselves, to experiment? Or are we going to see them pull back from that? Are they going to be less interested in these content creation areas and more into the plain old advertising that they know and that will get certain eyeballs? What do you think about the risks that your clients are willing to take at this moment as we head perhaps to a more uncertain economy?
People are way more open to taking risks at this point, more so than I've ever seen. So with Apple changing ATT, it flipped the whole ecosystem. Like everything's been reversed and it's not changing anytime soon. So I think advertisers right now, they need to take risks. They need to do something different to stand out and to drive performance and hit those ROI targets that they have. So that's why you see partners leaning more into creative. You know, it's great for any person in the content creation business, any sort of tech around automation or interactivity and driving engagement. We've seen our business, I mean, our headcount's tripled in the last 18 months because we're growing so quickly, meeting these advertisers' needs with content creation.
Alex, great to get your perspective. Joining us all the way from Greece, Alex Merutka. He is the founder and CEO of CRAFTSMAN Plus.
I have to say, nice that he took a suit to Mykonos.
Yeah, right.
It wouldn't have been the first thing I would have packed if I was
would've.
partying with, I hear he's got some cool DJs that he's dining with.
I would have just brought a bathing suit.
Yeah. that might have been an interesting content
Wouldn't have gone
creation on
TV.
Bloomberg. Yeah.
That's true. But in any case, coming up, it's the final take.